What's good, everybody? Welcome to the weekly review. I believe this being episode 6, we are talking about all the news that I picked out to discuss from the week that was. We're going to do the Saints recap on the end. And remember to subscribe to the channel because later on we're going to start doing these live on Sunday nights to recap everything after the football has been played and we have picked out all the stories from the week. And so with episode 6, we're going to start off with some more production announcements. I told y'all before that I love talking about the productions going into production and the casting and all that stuff. So we're going to start with a John Wick sequel prequel. So this one is reportedly a script that was drafted for a John Wick prequel sequel that will be a samurai film set in the Old West. Really cool stuff. You could get into the origins of so many things in the John Wick world if you decide to go back far enough and make this thing deep enough and connected enough to all that stuff. And that would be really cool to me. We could get the origins of the Continental. Although I know they did a show, I still don't think they touched on the origins of the actual hotel, as well as I don't think they touched on the table and like how did the table come to be? Maybe they decided to do all that stuff with this samurai stuff. Started back in the Old West, and you have all these different possibilities that you can explore with something so far and so long ago in time. That makes it really dope. It also opens up the world of John Wick sequels that are no longer connected to John Wick. I think that Ballerina probably would have did better if it was marketed just a tad bit more as a John Wick sequel, because he was heavier in that than I expected him to be, as well as I think you finally start to move away from things being connected to Keanu Reeves if you can actually do good with this and make this interesting enough and market it well enough. So I actually have high hopes for this. I really like action films. I really like things that are set in the Old West and, different period pieces and giving you alternative histories of things. So yeah, this has a lot of potential for me, and I'm excited to see what this turns into if it ever actually pans out. Changing topics and shifting gears, I want to talk about the Ghost of Yotei. So I'm very, very late to the party on the Ghost series of games. I just started playing Ghost of Tsushima probably 2 or 3 months ago, and it's 2025. That game is 5 years old, but for some reason, I never jumped on board. I heard nothing but great things about it years ago when it came out. I was probably too heavily entrenched in the Madden and the Call of Duty yearly cycles to break that cycle and jump onto a more story-driven game. Outside of The Last of Us, that's been the biggest story-driven game that I played in, part 1, part 2, PS4, PS5. That was the thing that I was doing the most. And now that I'm really distancing myself from those yearly releases like Call of Duty and like Madden, I found myself digging more into games that are single-player games that really focus on telling a good story, because story is one of the main reasons why we play games. And that brings me to the Ghost of Yotei. Ghost of Yotei was released this past week, and you have a divergence in the conversation. And it's the weirdest thing ever because, like I just mentioned, we play games for the story. We want to experience the story that these writers have to tell in this medium. And it also gives us opportunity to participate and play that story out the way we see fit with the different branches that you can follow with it being an open world game. And so when we look at Ghost of Yotei, the divergence comes with character models. Some people want the character model to be pretty and something nice to look at. And then others want the gritty realism of the actual time period. Me, I really don't care. I really want the story. But it was a very interesting thing to stumble upon this little post that someone made pointing out the differences in opinion, and as well as somebody having the mindset of perhaps they were too harsh on Ubisoft for their version of an Asian female protagonist in the Assassin's Creed game that came out earlier this year. I'm not really into the Assassin's Creed line of games, but for me, I was looking forward to Yotei. I'm going to get it probably later on in this fall, near Christmas time, once I wrap up Tsushima, because Tsushima is a whole lot to be playing. And I don't want to kind of get confused with the gameplay mechanics that change from game to game. So I'm going to give it some time and really fully explore Tsushima before moving on. But Yotei, it looks good based on everything I've seen. And I just find it incredibly strange that people really plant a flag in the ground based on how the character looks, especially in a game like Yotei, where the characters have a mask that you're going to be probably wearing most of the time when you're out and doing missions. Now, yeah, that mask will get removed for cutscenes and everything else, and you'll see the character's face, but there's no like real big issue with the way the character looks as long as the character themselves are well written and the story is well received and the gameplay is nice and there's no glitches and bugs. Then what are we really complaining about? What's even more strange to me is that people are upset at voice actors and their politics and them getting jobs in doing the voices for these characters. I saw someone in this very same thread mention Troy Baker and Troy Baker's personal politics and how that distracts them from enjoying games where he's a voice actor in it. And I find that to be nonsensical, 100% foolish. The last time I can remember Troy Baker playing a character that was significant in a game that I was playing, it was probably Arkham Origins, and he was playing the Joker, I believe, in that. And I'm not gonna like let my experience of a game be hampered or hindered because the guy who is pretending to be a clown also has some clown politics in real life. Like, that's never gonna distract me. And so they mentioned the voice actor in the Ghost of Yotei who voices the main character having like problematic takes or differing opinions politically, or maybe even just being a bad person. It's like, hey, if that person was hired by a company to do a job and that job is pretending to be a different character in a video game, I'm not going to let that stuff deter me one bit. And I find it to be kind of weird that people do let it deter them from enjoying a well-crafted story with hundreds and hundreds of people who are involved in the making of that game. You can't possibly know the politics and the personal takes and opinions of every person who plays or plays a role in that game being developed. So I can't let stuff like that distract me, and I don't know why people let that type of stuff distract them. But those are my thoughts on the Ghost of Yotei. If you're playing it, let me know your thoughts on the game. Is it better than Tsushima? I feel like it is just based on the clips that I'm seeing. And I'm looking forward to playing it this coming fall. And for the last topic for the weekly wrap up, I want to talk about the box office for The Rock's movie, The Smashing Machine. Now, this is not a movie that anybody anticipated would be like making a bunch of money at the box office. That's not really the point that I'm trying to discuss here, but it is the conversation around that part. And there's always a conversation to be had online when it comes to box office and the failure or success of a film. And I feel like in the case of The Smashing Machine, I see people basically making cop-outs for The Rock and saying, you know, oh, he didn't suspect or he didn't anticipate this being a blockbuster and he doesn't care about the box office. First of all, there's no headlining celebrity that does not care about the box office of their film. Now, maybe it might not be his primary concern because it's quite obvious that this is his attempt at getting like some type of recognition as a great actor. And so he put on all this weight and he did all this hard physical training and was really demanding on his body. And so to not make any box office, I'm sure hurts. But the reward in this case will probably be, oh, well, he might get some type of Oscar recognition or some type of awards recognition. But at the same time, I think about it more multifaceted than that because it's not just about The Rock and box office. It's also about the studios. There's no studio that says, let's make this passion project and this push for recognition for this character or this actor. Let's do that and not care at all about the box office. They definitely care about the box office. They spent $50 million, I believe, making that movie. That marketing budget is probably quite small. And I'm sure at some point they hope that they can recoup that via re-releasing this thing if it does get some type of Oscar recognition. And also, I must admit, I will give it to people that, yes, box office will not be the number one concern of The Rock in this situation, but I'm sure he does care if it doesn't make any money. What if you went through all that and you didn't get any recognition? That's why personally I like the Samuel L. Jackson approach, who came out in the last few weeks and said, I don't take roles based on Oscar recognition or if I'm going to get awarded for doing the role. I do what I want to do. And to me, that makes the absolute most sense. Actors should do what they feel like doing. Like, you shouldn't be doing things based on the recognition of getting the recognition of others, as well as you shouldn't really be doing things based on like the idea that you're going to make a bunch of box office either. It should be, hey, do I feel like this project is a project that I'm going to enjoy? And if it is, then you go ahead and you participate in it. And if it's not, then you don't. And that's as simple as it is. As far as the Smashing Machine, the film itself is concerned, there are so many movies that get made each year. And I know I'm a movie reviewer on YouTube here, and I do my little YouTube shorts and shorts on TikTok where, I throw them up there talking about a movie or a TV show. And in truth, if we're being honest, there's so much that gets produced and gets recognition that I just have no interest in. The Smashing Machine had zero interest in it as they marketed it. It just never appealed to me. And there's a few films that have come out. There's a new Daniel Day-Lewis one that the film buffs, the people who are really, really into film and movies and talking really, really deep about films, they're talking about the new Daniel Day-Lewis film. And it's like, I have no desire. It just doesn't speak to me at all. And I don't feel moved to watch it most of the time. And so I'm going to do what I recommend that actors do. Just watch what you like. Take the roles that you think you're going to enjoy. Make sure that you're enjoying yourself at the end of every video for over 1,000 videos at this point. I think at this point, I think I'm over 1,000 videos, where at the end of almost every video, I say, enjoy yourself, guard your heart, go watch something good. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to enjoy myself. If I don't think I'm going to like something, I'm not going to watch it just to say, oh, I did a review this week, or, oh, I saw that thing that all the film critics are loving. Like, nah. And I think actors should take that same advice. Like, hey, do what you enjoy. So I'm probably not going to be watching The Smashing Machine, regardless of how well it gets reviewed or received, or regardless how much box office it makes. Nothing about the marketing moved me. I don't care to see The Rock be a wrestler, because we saw him be a wrestler in real life. But in this film, he's supposedly a different wrestler with, I'm sure, a set of circumstances that require a level of acting that, are a really big thing. But it's like, it feels like, just looking at it, it feels like recreational sadness with a tinge of action to it. And it doesn't move me. But moving on to what does move me is that the Saints, my New Orleans Saints, have gotten their first win of the season. I'm so happy that they actually got a dub. I will probably still be critical of a few things, but there's not much to critique coming out of this game. Well, let me be honest. Let me be real. In the first quarter, I was so glad that things took a turn at the end of the first half, because going into the end of the first quarter, going into the second, I said to myself, I don't know if I could watch much more of this, because it was looking bad. The New York Giants did whatever they wanted for 2 straight drives, and it looked so easy against Brandon Staley's defense. I thought to myself, if they don't turn this around, I'm going to turn this one off early. I can watch another Seattle game. But they were very resilient. They fought back. They did everything they could to gain a little bit of a lead after the first half. And then in the second half, they really kind of opened things up. The best thing about this game is that we finally got a big play. One of the worst things about the New Orleans Saints this year is that they are the lowest in the league when it comes to plays over 20 yards. And if you could get 2 of those a game, one in the first half, one in the second half, you can be competitive in almost every game. And it seems as though the New York Giants came out and played the defense that they tend to play and thought they could get there with 4. So very surprised that the New Orleans Saints offensive line held up and didn't allow any sacks, quite a few pressures, but no sacks. And the ball was delivered on time for a big strike. And I was very happy to see it. When it comes to the defense, getting turnovers was major. I will say, though, shifting the focus from all the positive stuff to the concerns, the offense is still a concern. It's weird that the offense is still a concern. Yes, they scored, I think it's 26 points, but problems. You got the ball via turnover 5 times. I think you scored 10 points off of turnovers after getting 5. I feel like that's an issue. If you didn't get 10 points, maybe 13 points off of turnovers, but that means your offense only is responsible for 13 points. I don't like it. Second, get great Blake Grupe off my team right now. I need Blake Grupe off the team. He might have felt like, oh, I'm going to go out here and play hard and give it my all in that little tackle he made. He might feel like that was enough, but it ain't enough. He went, 4 for 6 on field goals. Some of the field goals that he missed were inside of 40 yards. I think one of them was inside 40. The other one was a 50-yarder. Okay, 50-yarders or whatever. But, man, you're missing in places where you shouldn't be missing. And we should have more points on the board if you are a reliable kicker. And so get Blake Grupe out of here, or if you're not getting him out of here, bring somebody else in to pressure him. I know Kellen Moore is not Sean Payton. I know that all coaches don't do things the same, but I feel like if you have a kicker who misses at least one field goal in every game, and then he misses two in one game, like, hey, we need to pressure this guy. This guy needs to know that, you can't keep doing this. This is unacceptable. And the best way to do that is bring people in or cut him. And so do something is all I'm saying. Get somebody in here who can compete with Blake Grupe and put a little pressure on him. My other huge takeaway from this game, also a negative takeaway. I love the fact that we won, and I love the fact that he's back. Man, I got a few negative takeaways now that I'm saying it. Number one, Taysom Hill. Glad to see that he's back. Hope that he retires a Saint. But Taysom Hill is cooked. I don't think that he's ever going to provide the same production that he once provided to the New Orleans Saints. I just don't see it. You saw the QB power. They called it at least 4 times this game. He netted probably 6 to 8 yards. He probably got at least 1 or 2 negative plays out of that. He did throw a pass that was a nice pass because it was completed. But if you just look at the pass itself, that was not a good ball. It was the right target and it was on time, but it didn't get where it needed to go because I'm sure he can't plant and throw the way that he used to plant and throw. I don't think that he'll be reliable on deep balls as he once was because his leg work is not there. This man has had 2 season-ending knee injuries in college in BYU. Then he came to the league and got a Liz Frank injury and then is now coming back from an ACL. And this is the other negative takeaway. This boy had a knee injury, a ACL tear. Foster Moreau tore his ACL in the last game of the season, and both of them played in a game before Chase Young. Oh my God. Like, what is going on with Chase Young's calf? Like, why is my guy not playing? It's weird. It's very strange to me. And that's another negative takeaway. Like, what I thought we brought in the strength and conditioning guy from Philly, and I thought that would prove to be like an improvement. It doesn't seem to be an improvement when it comes to Chase Young specifically. That's weird to me. And although I complained a whole bunch just now, I would have to also say I can't complain too much because this was a really good game. You got the ball back when you need to get the ball back on offense. You looked competent. You looked capable. I think this buys Spencer Rattler another week. I know people thought that the Patriots game would be an absolute win, and I kind of feel like it won't be an absolute win. It's not like hey, let's go ahead and write a W right there. I don't know about that. I think that's going to be a hotly contested game. I think the Patriots are much better than anybody expected them to be. And so I don't know what's going to happen in that one. Maybe you can continue the streak of getting turnovers. The emergence of Jonas Sanker in the last 3 weeks has been incredible. Hopefully we can see that trend continue with him playing great at safety. Maybe Kool-Aid McKinstry gets his confidence up when it comes to covering and jumping routes because he got his first 2 interceptions in his career this past week. Although he did get bullied a little bit in the beginning of the game, but he recovered quite well. And hopefully that confidence stays and grows as you move into a game against the Patriots. A lot of hope moving forward. Like, oh, y'all finally put it together. That's great. But man, there's a lot of things that can still be improved upon. Another one could be coaching. I could talk about coaching because it feels like Kellen Moore coaches to not lose instead of coaching to win. His red zone play calling still kind of, I don't really like it. And so I feel as though he's growing a bit. We have seen some great called games, specifically against the Bills. That was a really good called game up until the fourth quarter where things were really a game until the fourth quarter. And then when you look at this game, I feel like offensively you called a pretty good game outside of the red zone. I don't know what it is about the red zone issues. We haven't seen a lot of great red zone action in the last few years, and it just seems like it's continuing. Also, coaching, what is up with the cleats, man? We still got players falling. Players should not be falling playing at home. Like, you should have the best equipment. You should know your field better than anyone else. And the idea that we still have players falling in week 5 going into week 6, I feel like that needs to get fixed. Man, to say it was a win, I had a lot of complaints, but I was happy to see him win. I'm really happy to see him win, and hopefully they can build upon that. I think that's all I got for this one, y'all. The week has been reviewed. It's over with. That's all I got. And come back and check us out the next time we do this. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart, and go watch something good.